Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. We have a heat wave here in the UK, so I'm wearing one of my lightest dresses and I'm going to power through this video before I get too hot and sweaty. But I really wanted to just jump on here and do a quick video in recognition of us coming to the end of Read Historical Fiction 2026. So I'm filming this towards the end of June, but this is, I guess, my message, my plea to everyone, which is don't stop reading historical fiction after June. It's something that can be read all year round. And as a little bit of inspiration, I thought I'd do a different kind of video today, which is quick fire recommendations for Read Historical Fiction. So I'm going to go through my kind of recent reads on Goodreads. I've got my laptop in front of me, and I'm going to just look through anything that was historical fiction, and then I'll tell you if I recommend it or not. I won't include the ones that I'm not going to recommend if they're not historical fiction, or if they're so bad that they're not really worth it, but I don't have very many of those. So yes, hopefully you find this video interesting. Hopefully it gives you lots of possibilities to add to your TBR. So the first book, which I have not spoken about on my channel just yet, but I finished it at the very beginning of June, which is Where You Once Belonged by Kent Harif, and I gave this book 4 stars. I would recommend this book to you. What I liked about it is that it is very sort of small town drama mystery. It's set in Colorado. I can't remember when it was set. I feel like it was either the 1930s, 40s, or 1950s, but there's also, it spans time. And essentially, there's this character named Jack Burdett who causes all sorts of controversy in the community, disappears, and then comes back. And did I say this is set in America? Yeah, small town America. It was published in the 1990s. The reason why I recommend this book is because the ending was so interesting. It was really unusual. And so for that reason, if you enjoy reading books about sort of historical fiction, small town America, you'd probably enjoy Where You Once Belonged. Next up, we have The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I've talked about this book lots on my channel. I gave it 5 stars. This is historical fiction which is set in the Second World War in Germany. And it follows Liesel, who's an orphan in foster care, and it's narrated by Death. Really powerful book, famous for a reason, would recommend. Next up, we have The Storyteller's Death by Anne de Villa Cardinal. I gave this book 4 stars. This is magical realism with a lot of historical fiction to do with history in Puerto Rico. And I thought it was a really beautiful story about sort of family history, family secrets. Next up, we have A Little Trickery by Rosanna Pike. I gave this book 4 stars. This is historical fiction which is set in the Tudor period in England, and it follows a group of unlikely companions that come together and try and create a hoax in a church. It is a very unique historical fiction in the sense that it uses dialogue which is quite vulgar, and I have not come across that before. Next up, just passing over some that I don't think I would recommend. The Witchfinder's Assistant by Ruth Goldstraw. I gave this book 3 stars. It's a very middling book, but this is a really interesting book from a male perspective about witch hunts in England during the English Civil War. But it actually focuses on the Witchfinder's Assistant's wife and how she gets into difficulties, or had got into difficulties, and then subsequently her reputation. It's a really interesting book, so I recommend that one. Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. I gave this book 4 stars. So this is set during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and it's labeled as a romance, but actually it's more about an everyday experience of the Troubles near Belfast, and differences in perspectives, I guess, between Protestants and Catholics. I thought it was a really interesting book. I felt that I got a pretty powerful insight into the Troubles from reading that piece of historical fiction. The Rush by Beth Lewis, I gave 4 stars. So this is a book that, it's quite a chunky book, but it's a book that follows 3 female characters and how their stories all intertwine, and it's set in the gold rush up in Canada, and it has a mystery element as well. It was a little bit long and tedious, but I liked that the research behind this book was fairly well done, and many of the characters are based loosely off of real people from history. So if you enjoy that period, sort of gold rush period, kind of pioneer history, I guess, of Canada and the US, then I think you'd enjoy The Rush. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, 5-star read from me, though very controversial. This is set in Auschwitz and looks at the relationship between a Jewish boy in the camp and a German boy whose father is one of the Nazi officers. Really powerful book, but not without its flaws. The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood is a historical fiction. I gave that 4 stars. It was a weird book. I mean, Margaret Atwood is such an unusual writer, and it was a really good story set in Canada, I think in the Toronto area, and follows the relationship between 2 sisters moving across history. And yes, I can't remember too much about it in like specifics, but I do remember the feeling or the emotions that I felt when I was reading that book, that once you got over Margaret Atwood's kind of complicated language and sort of settled in, it was an audiobook that settled into the audiobook, I actually really enjoyed that experience. Okay, next up we have The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. A 4-star, very strong 4-star read from me. I love his writing anyways, but this is set in the 1950s and it follows Emmett, and it's a road trip with from the Midwest, somewhere in the Midwest, to New York, and kind of the relationships that Emmett forms with his brother and some other characters along the way. Really powerful. Again, looking at sort of small town America. I guess that sort of mindset of being able to start afresh after overcoming adversity. Restoration by Rose Tremaine. I really enjoyed that as an audiobook. I gave it 5 stars. This is about, I think he's either a physician or surgeon, an aspiring physician, pardon me. He was a son of a glove maker. He ends up being a physician in the court of Charles II. And it just really is a really rich story about that time period in the court. And there's also a good section about the fire of London. Yeah, and it just paints a really interesting perspective of 17th century England. So I would enjoy that. I would recommend that book if you enjoy that time period, specifically as the audiobook. Wakenhurst by Michelle Paver was a 4-star read from me. And this is set in the turn of the 20th century, and it is a mystery. And this looks at themes of, I guess, like family responsibility, family reputation, and it's very gothic in style and has a mystery element. I'm looking at Goodreads and it's classified as a horror. I didn't really get the horror element of it. I would classify it as gothic rather than horror. But yeah, it's essentially a ghost story, so maybe that's the horror, but it wasn't ghost as in really like spooky ghost. It was just a sort of mythical element to it. But yeah, in any case, Wakenhurst is a good option if you enjoy gothic reads. Marina by Carlos Ruiz Zafón was a 5-star read from me. And I mean, this is definitely gothic and really, really creepy, but I enjoyed the mystery element of it. This is, I mean, do we classify the 1980s as historical fiction? Let's go ahead and do that, although that means then I am historical? I don't know. But yeah, this is set in Madrid, 1980s, and it has a mystery element, and without giving anything away, yeah, it's about like friendships and relationships, but also with the really creepy gothic element. Very much enjoyed Marina, and thank you to whoever recommended that I read that. I'll do a couple more. I've spoken about Savage Beasts by Rani Selvarja quite a lot on my channel, and this was a 5-star read for me, and it is set in the 1750s in India, but then spans much further. And so not only is this historical fiction, but it's also a myth retelling, Greek myth retelling of Jason and the Golden Fleece, where it's Mina is meant to be Medea. And I really enjoyed that retelling. I thought it was great. And it also offered a really rich perspective of India during that point where the East India Company is trying to maintain their power, or establish their power, I guess. And then the last one that I will recommend today, there's so many to choose from, is The Settlement by Jack Sarong. And this is actually part of the series, but I read it as a standalone and didn't even realize that it was part of a series. So you don't need to read the other ones. But this is about relocation of Indigenous people in Tasmania, and the atrocities that the church commits in that context. But yeah, if you like that kind of historical fiction, which is more unsettling rather than a joyous romp, then I could recommend The Settlement to you. So yeah, I've been going on for almost 15 minutes now, but those are the books that just, you know, very quickly, rapid fire recommendations, sifting through what I've currently read in the last couple of years, year and a half. Those are the historical fictions that I would recommend to you. So I hope you found this useful, and maybe you will add one of these books on, or some of these books onto your TBR. But yeah, so as we wrap up Read Historical Fiction, let's keep the momentum going. I'm certainly going to continue reading historical fiction throughout the year. I always usually have one historical fiction or more on the go throughout the months. And with that, I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're enjoying whatever it is that you're reading, hopefully historical fiction. And I will see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.